I think it's really important for people to understand. The reason why we call these animals domestic animals is because we've made them that way. They depend on us, and we need to be the responsible party in making sure that they're safe and they're secure and that they're healthy. And we can do that with every single animal, especially if we get our overpopulation down.
Again, we do have so many homeless pets because people are not aware that it's actually the law in the city of Los Angeles to have your pets spayed and neutered.
Rescue groups exist because there are too many animals that are not spayed and neutered. There's too many animals that are running because people let them go all over the place. They're not keeping track of them, and they end up at city shelters where they're about to be euthanized. So that's where rescue groups come in, because they take them out of shelters so they're not euthanized and possibly go to new homes. The city and county animal shelters euthanize because they have so many animals it's impossible to keep them all for as long as they need to.
My name is Ben Prodanov. I go to Wildwood School, and I come down here whenever I can to volunteer and help out the dogs and cats. This right here is Oreo. He unfortunately, his owner, he was really attached to his owner, and his owner, due to sickness, had to give him up. But he is just such a great dog, such a great walker, and most friendly dog I know.
You know, the question of people not understanding the importance of spay and neuter is a very volatile topic, and it's a hard one. You know, in certain cultures, you know, if you came from certain countries, you are used to seeing animals running loose in the streets. So it's a whole foreign topic. So I think it needs to be multifaceted. I think instead of being totally judgmental and thinking that those are really stinky people because they're letting their animals breed, that we should take a little more time to educate, and that we should talk about the problems that we see in this country, what we're up against here in the city of Los Angeles, how you know, a group of dogs running loose near a school could be dangerous to children, and invite the people to sort of think about it another way and kind of do it gently.
Spaying and neutering can alter the personality, but it tends to be in a more beneficial way. Males tend to be less aggressive, and females don't go into heat, so it changes their personality for the better. They're healthier, and they usually are easier to domesticate and train when they've been spayed or neutered.
If somebody's afraid to go to a shelter, honestly, if you go to one of our shelters today, I don't know what there is to be afraid of. I've never heard of anybody getting bit by one of the animals in the shelter. I've never heard of anybody being handcuffed because they show up to a shelter and they want to tell us about the problems that they're having with their animal and they need help, or if they come to the shelter and they say they want to adopt one. So if somebody's nervous, or maybe they think that a shelter is not a place for them, all they have to do is show up. They're going to find out that we have brand new policies, we have brand new shelters, we have a lot of dedicated staff, and whenever you're talking about a pet, we have a lot of wonderful people who want to show you how to handle that pet properly, and we can teach you things, we can show you things, we have classes, we can help you get your dog or cat spayed or neutered. It's an opportunity for you to learn and grow, and then you can be a much more responsible pet owner.
A lot of people ask the question when they're here at the shelter, they see so many animals here, there's 200 dogs, and they're like, how long do you keep them? I mean, is there a set time? What happens to them if they don't get adopted? We do take in all animals that come in for care. We do get very overcrowded. If an animal's not placed up for adoption, there's no set time. It's really all about space, and on some animals, their medical conditions and their behavior. So if we have an animal that's very healthy, very happy, very adoptable, but for whatever reason it's being overlooked, maybe it's just a really big dog, we're going to keep that one as long as we can. We're going to just keep trying. We're going to do everything we can to try to find that animal a home. We're going to take it out to a mobile adoption. We're going to take it on TV. We're going to network that to our rescue groups in hopes that we can place that animal. The only time that animal we may have to make a hard decision would be if the shelter's so overcrowded that there's just not any room left for that animal.
I think there's just an indescribable quality to them that they can, you know, be your companion and you can be theirs, and without even, you know, saying any words, you can just become friends. Volunteering here at the Lang Foundation, I've learned a lot about patience, being patient with the animals, taking care of the animals, and how each individual animal, both cats and dogs, are so vastly different, and how each one has been through so many different experiences, and how they just need different types of care. Some need to be, maybe run a bit more, and some could just use, a pet every once in a while.
Talk to some of the people online, to go to our Facebook page. Look at the animals that are available for foster. If you see animals that were available for foster and you think you might want to meet one, we can probably arrange something with the foster parent to meet at a mobile pet adoption or something, so that you don't have to come to the shelter. We're going to work with you. We want to get every one of these wonderful, amazing shelter animals in the home that they deserve. If I was going to ask the community to do one thing, it would be to work together. The animals are counting on us. We're all they have, and sometimes there are differences. One group might believe that you have to do home checks, for example. Another group might not believe that home checks are necessary. But the truth of the matter is, both groups love animals. Both groups want to do the right thing. And I would say that also about my own staff. Sometimes I think city workers get a bad rap, and I don't know if a few people deserve it or not. I'm not going to go there, but I can tell you I've got people on this team who are working their heart out, and they're giving it everything they can. Get to know them really, and you'll see that there are a lot of people here at Los Angeles Animal Services who care deeply about the work they do and about the animals.
To me, it's the most important thing for us to understand is we have to do something about the 4 million animals that are euthanized every year in this country. And the best way to do that is to make sure that we have a comprehensive spay and neuter program for every city, for every community across the country.
Most people, when we speak to them, we're very honest about what we do, and that we rescue from shelters for this reason, because they do euthanize. I think we're the proof that there's a lot of animals at shelters that need homes.
We're very lucky with dogs. With dogs, about 80% of all the dogs that come into LA Animal Services leave either into a new home, back with their new owner, or into our rescue group. So we're very proud of that. That's very good. Now, our cat population's a little bit different for our cats, and we do take in a lot of cats, and we do take in a lot of kittens. The rate is only about 44% of all the animals that come in, only about 44% are going out into homes.
It took a little bit of time to become a volunteer. It wasn't difficult, but there was some waiting involved. With a big bureaucracy like a enormous city shelter, they have a lot of steps to go through, and it takes time for everything, for all the paperwork to happen and all that. But once I was brought in, given an orientation and trained, after that it's totally easy. I can come in anytime I want when the shelter's open and just work with the dogs, work with cats, work with anybody.
Can LA become a no-kill city? In a word, yes. And how do I know that? It is happening. It's happening in LA. We just need people to work together, get on the bandwagon, and let's just do it.
LA Animal Services is working very hard to reach no-kill. But to do that, we need everyone's cooperation. We need the community to understand what happens in the shelters. We need them to understand they have to be responsible, and the animals in their community can't just be dropped off at the shelter and not given a second thought.
I definitely think it's possible for LA to become a no-kill city. I think people are more aware now of what a rescue group is and what a shelter is. I think it's just going to take time. I think spaying and neutering being a law in Los Angeles is a big thing that went through that hopefully will fix it to some degree. And I think the rest of it is just people being educated on spaying, neutering, and adopting, and not purchasing animals.
There's no guarantee that we can find everybody a home, but we do our best. We do media segments, we do low-cost adoption fees, we actually transfer pets between shelters to try to get them adopted. So we do everything that we can, along with the volunteers actually keeping them socialized and walking them and giving us as much feedback on the personalities and the different characters that we have. I love my job. I love, like I said, what could become overwhelming to me would be the incoming. Definitely the incoming.
To help people understand what's happening at the shelter so that we're not looked at as the bad guys, because I hate it when they say, oh, you're just the bad guys, you're just the killers, you don't care. when really it's just the opposite. That's why we're here. We're here because we do care.
Let's say you're not allowed to have animals at all where you live. Well, that's okay. You can volunteer at the shelters. You can do food drives or toy drives or towel blanket drives, kitty litter drives at your school, if you're a Boy Scout or a Girl Scout, at work, in your neighborhood. Really, it's endless where you can do this. Let's say there's a dog that you've fallen in love with that you want to help find a home. You can post on Facebook, you can Twitter, you can send email blasts out to people. The only way that we're going to be able to help all of these animals that need homes is us all working together.
Any high school kid that comes in that is looking for volunteer service, as far as giving us some volunteer service, it's a great way for them to build customer service skills, communication skills, sales skills. They could actually get a whole lot of experience here at the shelter, working with people, learning how to take direction and working with a group. There's a lot of different experiences they can gain by volunteering in the shelter, definitely.
If somebody thinks that euthanizing 4 million animals in this country is nothing to be concerned about, I want to tell you, you really got to think twice about that thought. If you consider yourself being part of this America, if you consider yourself as part of being a compassionate society, compassion just isn't about human being to human being. There are very famous people who have said, and rightfully so, show me how a community or a country treats its animals, and I'll show you how compassionate that country is. To me, it's really important for people to understand part of that 4 million of euthanized animals every year in this country is happening right here in your own neighborhood. So I think it's important for us to understand is we're either contributing to the problem or we're contributing to the solution.
If your high school or your organization decided they wanted to have a donation drive, they can contact LA Animal Services, and if they have a particular shelter that might be in their area or very close to them that they want to work with, they can contact them and they can set up to where we do it a couple different ways. You can have the class come into the shelter and do a tour, and they can see the animals and the types of things they need, and if they've brought donations with them, we can let them place those in the cages for them, or we can send somebody out to talk at the school or to talk at the organization and sort of tell them what we do, what we're about, and the things that we need.
A little dog like this will probably, if you take good care of him, keep him in, don't let him get out in the street, keep him up on his vaccines. This little dog will be part of your family for about 15 years. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for people who make a lifetime commitment and enjoy these animals and keep them and take care of them and really make them part of the family.
Probably the biggest change we could make to help shelter animals would be to change the laws so that people cannot be discriminated against in terms of housing, in terms of renting, or in terms of insurance for owning pets. If everybody out there who wanted an animal was allowed to adopt the animal of their choice, our shelters would be empty. The reason there are so many animals here, the reason so many of them come in and so many fail to get out, is because there are people out there who would like to adopt from us but aren't able to because of restrictions from their landlord or their insurance company.
Smokey also came from the South LA shelter, and they get along great. I got them a couple years apart, but it just broke my heart. This cat is both of my cats are so amazing, and actually Smokey was in owner surrender too, and I feel blessed that they came into my life. There are thousands of pets in the city and county shelters just waiting to love you.